I love when we sort of lay claim to the First Amendment like it's something that's always existed. But of course, this country existed before there was a First Amendment, and we had some challenges, which is what led us to craft the Bill of Rights, craft the Constitution to begin with, and then the Bill of Rights. So let's just take a look at a little bit of the early days. The press in America, of course, was not always free. Massachusetts made it a crime to publish without government approval in the 17th century. We had the situation with public occurrences, both foreign and domestic. Don't mind my spelling; that is the way it was spelled. And that was actually shut down after just an issue or two in 1690 by the British government. So we had good foundation for saying, hey, we need there to be some establishment that requires the press to be free. And that's when we started kind of getting into this revolutionary mindset. We actually had control on printing in the early part of this country. Right now, one of the big things that America has different than other countries is we are not licensed. The presses were not licensed, although broadcast media is licensed. Printing is not, but we did have that up until the 1720s. There was also, of course, taxation, a variety of taxes on publishers that allowed printing to be controlled. And then we had sedition laws, which basically said that if you were going to be inciting a rebellion against the government, we could not only prevent you from publishing, but we could throw you in jail and fine you a bunch of money too. We had our first big trial related to the sedition laws with this gentleman, John Peter Zenger. He's actually pretty legendary in journalistic circles. He printed something that was called the New York Weekly Journal. He printed anonymous stories about corrupt royal governors. So these weren't even things that he'd written. These were things that he got from other people and he published. He ended up going to jail and was accused of what we call seditious libel. So this is libel, unlike the one that we're going to learn about this semester, which is far more dealing with reputation. But this dealt with anything that was opposed to the government. So I guess you could call it the government's reputation. Zenger's attorney, who was Andrew Hamilton, you may recognize him from Our Money, he convinced a jury that it was a cause for liberty. And although John Peter Zenger was clearly in violation of the law, the jury ignored the law and they ended up acquitting him. And then not long after came the Constitution. So remember that of course, you probably remember from American history, the Declaration of Independence took place. We had the Articles of Confederation, but we didn't really have the structure for a government that we needed. And so they created the Constitution, and it was approved by the states with a promise that we would have a Bill of Rights afterwards. And this bill would outline what rights the citizens have that would not infringe on states' rights. And that's really where we started to get into this idea of what rights we would have as individuals, and we would get into this idea of the First Amendment. James Madison was the gentleman who was charged with crafting that. He wanted to declare, he was actually elected with this idea that he would create a Declaration of Human Rights. And the First Amendment was what he crafted to really identify what was going to make this country different than other countries. And you can see the language here. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So that really outlines the 5 freedoms that we're going to spend a lot of time talking about here. Virginia, not coincidentally, where James Madison was from, was the first to ratify the Constitution, ratify this Bill of Rights, December 15th, 1791, and lo and behold, we had freedom of the press.